My ex and I broke up and were never married when I was pregnant with our youngest child, who is now a tween, and our oldest is a young teen. Ex moved 20 hours away when our youngest was 5 years old. He was following a better job. Plus, he was bored of our home state and wanted a change. He told me this before he left, and when I asked about the kids, he told me he'd still be an involved dad, just at a distance. I have primary custody. He sees them for 3 weeks in the summer and every other Christmas and Thanksgiving. It's not a lot, and the kids aren't very close to him. They've grown to enjoy the time with him less as they get older. Part of this is because they don't feel like he makes enough of an effort. Another part is that he got married 2 years after the move, and he has more children with his current wife, so the kids feel replaced. I can't blame them, so I put them in therapy to help them through this. I hardly ever hear from my ex or his wife. I get 3 emails from him a year and maybe 5 replies if I'm lucky, which are him giving me dates and me asking him questions and getting replies to those. The kids do not have a close relationship or any type of bond with their half-siblings. Sunday morning we got the shock of our lives when my ex's wife showed up with her and her ex's kids. She said she came to get my kids to spend the day with them so they could be with her and their half-siblings. My kids said they didn't want to go and walked away without saying anything else to her. She looked so offended at the door and told me to make sure they got ready. I told her no and told her she didn't get to just arrive. I told her they were spending Mother's Day with me, their mom. Then I closed the door and she stayed with her kids for a few minutes before leaving. Apparently she got home later that night, they flew apparently, because both she and my ex sent numerous emails saying I should have sent the kids with her and made them celebrate her for a change, since she's been their stepmom most of their lives and they have siblings who wanted to see them. Ex also claimed since I refused I should have invited them in to spend some time all together. They called me a witch and unreasonable. This continued all day yesterday. Am I the idiot for not making my kids go with my ex's wife and their children? What? Who flies from out of state with no notice? To get children that aren't theirs? What if you've been at the grocery store, the beach, someone was sick, at church, I could go on and on. This is so off the wall that I'm actually shocked. Obviously not the idiot, but I want to call the wife myself and ask her a ton of questions about what was going through her mind. This had to be planned by a few days at a minimum to get the plane tickets. Ex's wife has to be absolutely back crap to even think it was a good idea, let alone show up at OP's door. I'm totally going to be an involved parent to an infant and a toddler from 20 hours away. OMG, that's hilarious. Your ex is a moron. So is his wife. Honestly, I would assume she was trying to abduct your kids. But you say you have primary custody. Jesus, the gall of this woman. This random woman sees your children 1/12, if that, of the year. She flew to your home without warning on Mother's Day to demand that your children spend time with her instead of their own mother? I would have sprayed her with a garden hose and yelled to get off my property. Just what an absolute idiot. Bloody loving the garden hose suggestion, haha. Honestly, it makes me happy for you that this stupid lady decided to waste her own time. It's like she took revenge on herself for wasting your time by wasting so much more of her own. LMAO. I'm glad you and your kids seem to have a healthy sense of self-worth too. I just realised she probably spent money on tickets for your kids' flights. LOL, she double penalised herself. Yeah, the gall of these people. I just can't. I'm so sorry you're dealing with their delusion and that they're bombarding you with their terrible nonsense. You might want to revisit your custody agreement that bars unannounced visits and demands from a stepmother who has barely any contact with your children. Tell them both to pound sand. You don't owe her anything. And I strongly suspect that your children will not be going to visit Daddy-O this summer. My daughter has been married to her husband for 3 years and they recently had their first child. The entire time they've been married, she's been a housewife and now she's a stay-at-home mom with no plans to return to work. I think that's fine and have been supportive. I also know she and her husband both have sizable life insurance policies, so if God forbid one dies, they'll be okay. However, she also signed a prenup, which again I think is smart, but according to my daughter, she'd get a very small settlement, and even with child support, there's a good chance she'd have to return to work. After being out of the workforce for a bit, who knows if that'll be a challenge? My main worry is that my niece fell into this scenario and even with child support she struggled. So my husband, her father and I just set up a just-in-case account. If she and her husband divorce, she'll have money to fall back on just in case. If they remain married past the time my husband and I die, it'll just be added to what she'll inherit. I didn't intend on telling her about it unless it happened, but my husband pointed out that if she was ever in a situation where she wanted to leave but worried she financially couldn't, it'd be good for her to know she has a plan B. So we told her and she was a little surprised. She said she appreciated it but felt we were rooting against her. I said we love her husband and hope they have a long, healthy marriage. We've always been supportive. But this is similar to the prenup, a just in case, a last resort. Well, she told her husband, and he's angry at us as well, saying that we didn't trust him. I said it's looking out for our daughter and really is no different from the prenup. I added that just as he'll always want to protect his daughter, we'll always want to protect ours. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. In his own words, your son-in-law said he doesn't trust your daughter by having her sign a prenup. Does nobody see the double standard? I'm struggling every single day. My parents had something set aside for me if I were faced with this very scenario. I was. Only my abusive ex found out and stole every last dime. We had to start over with literally nothing. Your daughter should be grateful. Wow, dude wanted a prenup but no just-in-case fund for her. Who were he or his parents rooting for with that prenup? Good for you guys, you just leveled the playing field. She's lucky to have you and I'm glad he knows. It makes for a more equal dynamic. A decent prenup would have included a just-in-case fund for her. The husband is a selfish jerk and a hypocrite. I very much don't like the husband either. This whole situation sounds financially controlling. There are red flags all over the place. OP, whatever you do, do not give them the money. I'm expecting that to be the next evolution of the situation. Daughter coming to you telling you if you really support the marriage, you'll give her the money now. Do not give in. Or if you didn't tell them the amount, give them a small amount now to keep the connection alive with your daughter and keep saving. I'm afraid you're going to need it one day. The family has a code word that means to meet up at my home because there's bad news. So it's an emergency family meeting. This is extremely rare and it needs to drop what you're doing and get over as soon as possible. It's only an invite for the kids, no in-laws are invited. This was discussed and agreed upon by everyone. This was due to everyone being most comfortable with sharing bad news with their siblings and not having to be polite with the in-laws. For example, my daughter used the code word and it was an emergency family meeting. She was getting a divorce and needed help. After, everyone fills in their spouses but not all the gritty details. This happened today. An emergency meeting was called by my husband. In short, he needs surgery. Everyone left and I got a call from my daughter-in-law, upset that she wasn't invited to the meeting. I asked if she knew what these were and she told me my son explained it. She reiterated that she should still be invited and I'm excluding her. She's upset and expects an invite next time. I told her that her feelings weren't my problem and for damn sake you don't need to be invited to everything. She called me a jerk. My son told me he would deal with it, but I could have been nicer. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. This family sounds overdramatic. Do you really have to call an emergency drop-everything meeting with the whole nuclear family to tell them that you, a fully grown adult, are getting a divorce or need surgery? These are called normal life issues and they are not emergencies. Most people just make a couple of phone calls and everyone else knows within a couple of weeks. There's some main character energy in this family, especially with the secret family meeting code. That's what I was thinking. We have a pretty close family, but the whole code word to drop what you're doing and go to mom's house seems very strange to me. You are the idiot, OP. This is so depressing. You don't consider your kids' spouses as family. I feel sorry for you. You sound very angry and bitter. Going against the grain here, but I don't get the hate. There are some things I'd feel more comfortable just discussing with my parents and siblings, but not my brother-in-law, great as he is. OP is not even the issue here. Her daughter-in-law should be grappling with the fact that her own husband clearly doesn't want her there either. OP's not the idiot. Same, I don't get the hate either. Certainly, keeping secrets that affect your spouse or your nuclear family is wrong. Sharing all the personal details of someone else's tragedy or problem when that information is not your secret to disclose? That's just poor ethics. My husband's father is ill and requires surgery. How can I throw a tantrum and make this about me? Imagine being married to that. My 42 female teen daughter is not my husband's biological daughter. Her dad decided after I got pregnant that the mom of his child wasn't the woman he wanted to marry and was not in my daughter's life. It was just me and my daughter for the next 7 years until I married my husband. We had 3 kids in quick succession after we got married. They're now a male pre-tween, a female pre-tween, and a female kindergartner. I recently found out I was pregnant, and that has made my marriage worse. My daughter's dad first lived off of others giving him money to be an equestrian. Later I found out that he started getting hired as a riding instructor and helping others take care of their horses. His inconsistent income and 1099 status were what he used to dodge his financial responsibilities. I started my daughter on this path as a hobby, but it was clear that she was talented. I would work a second job as a stable aide so she could afford the lessons, drive other kids to and from lessons, and do other odd jobs to put towards her training expenses until I married my husband and became a stay-at-home mom. My husband was very supportive of her pursuit until she entered high school. We were looking into possible future scholarships, which I understand are rare, to come from her competing at colleges with equestrian programs. My husband started lying about how my daughter didn't want to do this and how he loved her more than me because he understood her better. He embarrassed me by complaining about the other moms whose kids competed, saying they were snobs or that he didn't want me to try to fit in with them or get their approval. Then he complained to parents about the new group lesson costs, etc. I found out I was pregnant and went with my daughter to an event. I got too sick and tired to attend a school open house, and he flipped out on me when he came home. We got into a fight and he told me that this wasn't working out. I feel he said that to scare me, but I wasn't scared of divorce because I'm not going to grovel for his approval and I can't make it work without him. I told him I'd happily grant his divorce. He then says he wants joint custody of all the kids. I told him that legally he has no grounds with my daughter. He says she can still come to his place when he has the other kids, and I remind him she doesn't have a license and I don't owe him any agreement to drive her to his place. She screams, "She is my stepdaughter, I've been her dad." I told him he couldn't just want to divorce his pregnant wife and get the benefits of that, including my general cooperation with this divorce, and still claim the title of my daughter's stepdad. He can't have his cake and eat it too. Legally, I'm in the right since he never adopted her. He doesn't want to support my daughter's goals. With the divorce, he doesn't have the responsibility that being an equestrian's parent entails. All her bills will be coming out of my account, but that means he cannot continue to enjoy all the benefits of that without any of the responsibility. I don't think that's fair. I told my daughter that her stepdad wants a divorce because he absolutely hates paying for her lessons and says they're making her into a snob like me and the other moms. She's a people pleaser, so she'd say yes to seeing him to not hurt his feelings. But she said that if he really hates her because she wants to be an equestrian, then she just wants to continue her passion, and it seems most conducive to do so where she's living with me and not seeing someone who actively wants to stop her future dreams. Am I the idiot? I don't understand what you're arguing about here. He's been in her life and been her only father figure from her tween years through her teen years. How is he not her stepdad? Also, if you have to drive your other kids to exchange custody, how is your daughter being included going to mean you must drive any more than you would anyway? Sounds like you're weaponizing your kid here to hurt him because of the divorce. He is divorcing you, not your kids. Why would you want to make your daughter lose the only positive male role model in her life? You are the idiot. Right? That is some pretty evil stuff to blame the divorce to your daughter on your daughter's equestrian bills. Look in a mirror a bit, OP. This seems more like the tip of the iceberg where 90% of what's going on is not this. Put aside your pettiness and think for just a minute about something besides yourself. How is your position even remotely in your daughter's best interest? Blaming the kid for the divorce? What a wonderful mother. That is honestly the worst thing you could do in a divorce. I can't fathom a parent inflicting pain on their child to hurt their partner. Both the daughter and husband deserve so much better than OP. She's literally treating her daughter like a personal vendetta tool. No consideration for ripping away the man she's obviously seemed to have considered a father. Legally, he has no right. Get out of here. Truly the mother of the year. Also, knowing the culture around horses, I'm very likely to agree with the father's version of events. I, 26 female, have a younger sister Lily, 24, who's been with her fiancé Mark, 28 male, for 3 years. They've always seemed really happy together and they plan to marry next summer. Lily and I have always been close, but she can get pretty intense and a bit paranoid about relationships. A few weeks ago, Lily told me about her plan. She wanted to test Mark's loyalty by having her friend Sarah flirt with him at a party to see how he'd react. I told her it was a terrible idea and that she should just trust him, but she was dead set on it. She said she needed to be sure Mark wouldn't cheat on her once they were married. So Sarah went ahead with the plan last weekend at a party. Lily said Mark was nice but didn't flirt back and even mentioned he was engaged. But Lily was still upset because she felt he didn't shut Sarah down forcefully enough. I thought this whole thing was unfair to Mark. He had no idea he was being tested and I felt terrible for him. So I ended up telling him what Lily did. He was shocked and hurt but thanked me for being honest with him. Now Lily is furious with me. She says I betrayed her and ruined her relationship. She won't talk to me, saying I overstepped big time. Our parents are split on this. Mom thinks I did the right thing, but Dad said I should have stayed out of it. Mark is now reconsidering the engagement, and Lily has cut me off completely. I'm feeling torn and guilty. I don't know if I did the right thing by telling Mark or if I should have stayed out of it. Am I the idiot? And if I am, how do I fix this? Should I try to repair my relationship with Lily? Should I reach out to Mark again or give him space? Your sister isn't mature enough for marriage and is looking for reasons to cause drama. Either she's bored, or she cheated or came close to cheating and is projecting her guilt onto the man. Your dad is also an idiot. Think about this. She gave him a test and he passed with flying colours, but she's still mad that he didn't do well enough somehow. He passed a test she created and roped her equally terrible friend into, and she's angry at the result even though it's the one she said she wanted. Your sister needs help, not a husband. Honestly, her fiancé couldn't win. If he'd been too rude, she probably would have been angry. She wanted something she could hold over his head for the rest of their lives, a weapon to use against him whenever she wanted to get her way. It's for the best he's reconsidering things. I hope he leaves her. I think it's probably some TikTok BS. Schoolgirl mind games have been a thing for a long time, but this sort of nonsense seems to have died out until TikTok showed up. OP, you didn't ruin her relationship. Her stupid loyalty test did. You just told the truth. At this point, you should stay far away from this situation. Let Lily and Mark figure out their relationship.